Can I have my pen? Or the whole thing? Is this coming through? Yeah, we need to make sure it's not. Crowd mic always goes in 3. That's why it's so loud. I may have busted my left shoe. It's through a mic, so these buttons have a different meaning in what you're feeding through. And this one's strictly for a mic, too. That was so loud. That's so loud from there. You ought to hear this. It's unbelievable how loud just through that mic from there and to hear this is. It's unreal. I was like, why is that so loud? It's in 2. It always goes in 3, just so you know. Are we going live? Georgetown. Hit search again. You don't do the app. I don't. If you would put the YouTube app on your phone, it's easier to find everything. I don't know why. I just noticed that. So if I go in. I don't know why it is, but it goes more to our videos than just going to YouTube to SHN Georgetown on internet. But I can't get signal in here, so I don't know. Be careful what you do. Hey, go ahead and go live. We're going to have to run commercials. Just go through all 4 of them. Once you come back, we'll go live. I'll call it out. I'll say we're here. We'll go to commercials. Muted the whole time.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Borrow from Morrow. Longtime supporter of our broadcast, Matt Morrow, and his team is dedicated to providing the best mortgage experience possible. They do that by offering easy-to-use mortgage tools, including a handy mobile app, competitive rates, and assistance from experienced loan officers. Matt and his team of loan officers understand the local markets, have access to a wide variety of loan programs, and are ready to guide you through the process. Your family, your future, our focus. For your mortgage needs, remember Matt Morrow, Borrow from Morrow. For more information, visit borrowfrommorrow.com. NMLS 464148. A portion of this broadcast of Georgetown Eagle Baseball by First Responder Broadcasting is brought to you by Carissa Bradford, your local Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is an insurance provider built by Texans for Texans, protecting our families since 1952. The mission of Texas Farm Bureau is to help policyholders manage the financial risk of everyday life and successfully recover from insured losses through prompt, professional, personal service based on high ethical standards. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance offers comprehensive insurance policies for auto, home, farm and ranch, commercial, and life. Carissa can help you find the perfect policy to give you peace of mind that you're covered by a trusted and reputable insurer. For all your insurance needs, call Carissa at 512-777-8511 or visit www.tfb-ins.com. A portion of this broadcast of Georgetown Eagle Baseball is brought to you by Mahan Home and Commercial Services. Your source for all things roofing. We provide you with all the information you need to make a decision about your roof, the first line of defense against Mother Nature. A veteran-owned small business that believes in service with a purpose. Our mission is to service our residential neighbors and commercial community by providing the utmost quality materials and service. Our services include residential roofing, commercial roofing, ladder assist, and holiday lighting. Contact Jesse Mahan at 512-828-7800 or visit their website at mahanhcs.com. Mahan Home and Commercial Services, proud sponsor of First Responder Broadcasting and Georgetown Eagle Baseball. Jenny Mahan, Coldwell Banker Realty, proud sponsor of First Responder Broadcasting and Georgetown Eagle Baseball. A licensed real estate agent since 2016, Jenny is a family-first person that gives all she has to her family. Jenny takes the same love of family and delivers that to her clients from the start. Jenny is happy to help anyone looking to buy or sell a house, farm, or ranch. Let Jenny help you. Contact Jenny at 817-404-9203 or email jenny.mahan@cbunited.com. That's jenny.mahan@cbunited.com.
Good evening, everybody. We're here live, Pflugerville High School. We'll get it figured out. The whole system shut down on us. And so now we're back live in action here at Hawk Field on the campus of Hendrickson High School for tonight's Battle of the Unbeatens in District 5A, Region 23, District number 23. Georgetown and Hendrickson both sit at 6-0 on the season. We'll go immediately to the starting lineups that are brought to you tonight by
Longtime supporter of our broadcast, Matt Morrow, and his team is dedicated to providing the best mortgage experience possible. They do that by offering easy-to-use mortgage tools, including a handy mobile app, competitive rates, and assistance from experienced loan officers. Matt and his team of loan officers understand the local markets, have access to a wide variety of loan programs, and are ready to guide you through the process. Your family, your future, our focus. For your mortgage needs, remember Matt Morrow, Borrow from Morrow. For more information, visit borrowfrommorrow.com. NMLS 464148.
So the starting lineup for your Georgetown Eagles, the visitors tonight here in game number 1 between these two teams. Leading it off in center field, number 17, Devin Peterson. Batting second, the second baseman, number 2, Talon Ball. Batting third, the first baseman, number 21, Riley Leiniger. Batting fourth, catcher, number 16, Reese Herrera. Batting fifth in right field, number 11, Jackson Rainey. Batting sixth, the third baseman, number 6, Luke Holly. Batting seventh, the left fielder, number 9, Colton Crutchfield. Batting eighth, the designated hitter, number 7, Hayden Grooms. And batting ninth, the shortstop, number 20, Jack Kiki. On the mound for the Eagles tonight will be the junior left-hander, David Fluitt, number 12. He will be on the bump for your Georgetown Eagles. So it'll be Peterson, Ball, and Leiniger in the top third, Herrera, Rainey, and Holly in the middle third, Crutchfield, Grooms, and Kiki in the bottom third for your Georgetown Eagles. Head coach Jordan Vieira, assistant coaches Chad Payne, David Durrell, James Key, and Frank Anzuris. The Eagles come in 11-9-1 on the year, 6-0 in district on a 6-game winning streak. The Eagles out of the third base dugout tonight, being introduced here by the coach, the PA announcer. So we're going to go to the PA to see if we can get the starting lineup for the Hendrickson.
Number 11, third base, Jake McGuire. Number 12, shortstop, Kevin Haslam. Number 22, pitcher, Camden Malott. Number 7, first base, Gavin Fierro. Number 4, left field, Pearson DeLeo. Number 16, right field, Cole McCracken. Number 20, second base, Rhett Peterson. Number 18, catcher, Braden Borger. And now the heroes in waiting for your Hawks. Number 2.
So the starting lineup for the Hendrickson Hawks. It'll be Lee, McGuire, and Haslam in the top third, Mallet, Fierro, and DeLeo in the middle third, McCracken, Peterson, and Borger in the bottom third for the Hendrickson Hawks. They come into the ball game coached by DJ Neely, assistant coaches Josh Bartz, J.R. Castillo, and Patrick Forrester. The athletic director, Mike McCurchin for the Pflugerville ISD. Principal is Michael Greb, Superintendent Douglas Gillian for Pflugerville ISD. Your Georgetown Eagles will line up out of the third base dugout tonight in the white pants with black and blue piping with the black jerseys and Georgetown blue numerals outlined in white with the white stripes and script lettering on the front for your Eagles. They'll be wearing the black hats with the blue G on the front. The Hawks in the home cream-colored uniforms outlined in blue and white. And we'll go to the national anthem. Back here live, Hendrickson Hawks, the host of tonight's Game 1 between these 5A Region 3 District 23 teams. Your Georgetown Eagles will bat first here in the top of the first. Peterson, Ball, and Leininger due up to face off against the right-handed pitcher, number 22, Camden Malott. He is a junior for the Hendrickson Hawks. The sun right in the space of the fielders as the sun sets directly behind us. Defensively for the Hendrickson Hawks here in the top of the first. DeLeo in left, Lee in center, McCracken in right, McGuire in at third base, Haslam at short, Peterson at second, Fierro at first, Borger behind the mound, and Malott on the mound for the Hendrickson Hawks. Hawks come into the ballgame 12-7-2 on the year, 6-0 in district play, a two-game winning streak as they were victorious last week over Pflugerville, 6-4 on the last game of those two matchups. They come into the ballgame averaging 5.5 runs per game, and that doesn't matter if it's 5.5 in district or the season. They have stayed steady for the year. Your Eagles come in averaging 5.8 runs per game on the season, 8.2 runs per game in district with a .257 batting average, averaging 5.9 hits a game and an 84.88% steal percentage. And so Devin Peterson will step in from the right side to lead things off for your Georgetown Eagles. Peterson is the center fielder for your Eagles. He is the 6'2", 205-pound senior. Bats right, throws right as he steps in. Malott from the windup, the first pitch. Peterson swinging, fly ball left side. It's going to take the shortstop, Haslam, into the shallow left field. and now he's called off by the left fielder, and he doesn't make the play as it lands between them, and it'll be down for Devin Peterson, and he cruises into second base. We'll watch to the scoreboard. I'm going to assume you're going to call it error, but no one touched the ball. But the left fielder called off Haslam, the shortstop. He gave up on it. DeLeo didn't make the play, and the Eagles have a leadoff base runner here in the top of the first inning. So one pitch and a base runner at second base for Georgetown, and in steps Mighty Mouse, Talon Ball, number 2, the second baseman. He'll step in from the right side as well. Talon, the 5'9", or let's see here, Talon, the 5'9", 165-pound senior. Bats right, throws right, steps in from the right side with no outs and a runner at first base for the Eagles. Malott now moves to the windup with the base runner at second base. And looking back at second base for Malott now, the pitch to Talon. Talon lays off and takes it for a called strike, 0-1 to count. And now a quick visit from Borger, the catcher, out to Malott. Make sure the signs are clear. And Malott having to look into the sun as he looks in for the signs from his catcher, Borger. So we'll see how long that plays into it as the sun sets behind us. 3:20 down the lines, 3:53 to the left center field wall, 3:48 to the right center field as Malott comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch to Ball, swinging Ball. Sends it into left field for a base hit, and that's going to score Peterson easily from second base. So 3 pitches and a run for the Eagles here in the top of the first inning. Peterson scores on the RBI single by Talon Ball, and the Eagles in play here early on to take the 1-0 lead. A nice RBI single there for Talon Ball. And now in steps Riley Leininger, the senior first baseman. Leininger, 6'2", 220-pound senior, throws right, bats left. As he steps in here with no outs and a runner at first base. Good lead by Talon Ball as he's held on by Fierro. Malott comes set. The first pitch is outside for ball 1. 1-0 to count to Riley Leininger. Back behind us, the Hendrickson Hawks softball team taking on the Bastrop Bears in District 23 softball action. Talon Ball leads off first base. Now he'll cruise back over as Malott stepped off to reset himself. Leininger with a .333 batting average on the year. Throw over to first, not in time as Ball back standing safely. Leininger has 13 RBIs on the year, 9 runs scored, 11 walks, 10 strikeouts, has been hit by 3 pitches. Steps back in for the left side. The 1-0 pitch from Malott. Down low in the turf. It gets away from the catcher Borger, and Talon Ball is going to cruise into second base. The throw goes awry into center field, and Talon Ball moves over to third base. He'll square around, but Coach Vieira will hold him there. And now with a 2-0 count to Riley Leininger, the Eagles have a second runner over at third base here in the top of the first. As Talon Ball advances on the wild pitch to second base, advances to third on the throwing error by the catcher Borger. So an E2 there for Borger, and now the Eagles will have a quick break. A visit from the coach, DJ McNeely, for the Hawks. We'll take a quick break. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. To action now after the visit is over. Malik comes set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch to Leininger. It's on the outside corner for a called strike. 2-1 now the count to Riley Leininger. No outs and a runner at third base. Talon Ball, the RBI single. Moved to second on the wild pitch by Malik, and then was moved over on the throwing error by Borgers. He threw down to second. The 2-1 pitch. Leininger pops it up right side of the infield. The second baseman, Peterson, calls for it. He'll settle under it and make the catch. For out number 1, P4 in the book to retire Peterson for the first out. And in steps the catcher, Reese Herrera. For your Georgetown Eagles, Herrera, number 16, your catcher, will step in. He's got a .286 batting average on the season, .468 on-base percentage. Had a big 2 RBI double in the game against Elgin at Elgin to seal the victory, a 3-1 win as Herrera fouls the first pitch off for strike 1. 0-1 to count to the catcher, Reese Herrera. Herrera back in for the right side. The 6'1", 190-pound senior, bat right, throws right. The 0-1 pitch stays high for ball 1. 1-1 the count now to Reese. Talon Ball, the second baseman down at third base. An RBI single for Ball that scored Devin Peterson. Stands at third base with one out. The 1-1 pitch to Herrera. Ground ball hit out to short. That'll score the run from third. The shortstop up with it. The throw across the diamond in time. But an RBI for Reese Herrera. Nice at bat there. You score the run, and Georgetown leads it 2-0 here in the top of the first inning. So a good productive at bat for Reese Herrera there that scores Talon Ball on the ground out. 6-3 for out number 2. And in steps the right fielder, Jackson Rainey. Number 11, Rainey, 262 batting average on the season. Rainey, the 6'2", 215-pound senior, throws right, bats left. Fouls off the first pitch for a strike. 0-1 the count. Bases empty and 2 outs here in the top of the first inning with Luke Holly, the third baseman, waiting on deck. Should Rainey be able to extend the inning? Mallett from the windup, the 0-1 pitch, outside corner, called strike 2. So we'll see where the umpire sets his corners the rest of the ballgame here early in the ballgame. A big strike zone there to the right batter's box. Mallett gets the sign from Borger. The 0-2 pitch. Rainey fouls it off down the third baseline, off the net, and a nice catch there in the dugout. It's still 0-2 for Jackson Rainey with 2 outs and the base is empty. Mallett gets the sign from the windup. The 0-2 pitch. Foul ball sent down the third baseline. The third baseman has room but can't make the play. So Jackson Rainey will be able to extend the at-bat. Now 0-2, still the count. With 2 foul balls here as McGuire just ran out of room over there to make a safe play. And so Rainey will get another chance here as he steps back in. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the first. Mallett gets the sign from the windup at the first base side of the rubber. The 0-2 pitch to Jackson Rainey. Outside corner just misses for ball 1. 1-2 the count. Mallett has the side now. And the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball hit back up the middle. That'll be into center field. A 2-out base hit by Jackson Rainey extends the inning for the Eagles. And that'll be the 3rd hit of the inning for the Eagles. Until I hear otherwise, I don't see anything on the board for any of the hits. They just have the runs, strikes, and outs. Devin Peterson had a double on that one because the ball was never touched. The outfielder made the play, the call off of the shortstop. He bailed out, and the left fielder never got to it as it died into the grass. And now Luke Holly steps in to throw over to first, and Rainey dives back in safely there. Luke Holly steps in with a .212 batting average. Luke Holly, the third baseman. 6'2", 180-pound junior. Throws right, bats right as he steps back in here with 2 outs and a runner at first. Mallett from the stretch. The first pitch to Luke Holly. Fouled off back to the backstop. 0-1 the count now to Luke with Colton Crutchfield, the left fielder, on deck. Should Holly be able to extend the inning? Now I got the crowd mic turned up. I apologize. We had it down. The mic is the crowd or the PA system so loud. The 0-1 pitch to Holly. He fouls this one back to the screen. And the count is 0-2 now to Luke Holly. The number 6 hitter in the Georgetown lineup here in the top of the first. 2 runs across, a 2-out single has Jackson Rainey at first base being held on by Fierro. Mallett comes set. The 0-2 pitch to Luke Holly. Holly fouls it back to the screen and stays alive in the at-bat. No balls and 2 strikes. Holly back in from the right side. Rainey a good lead off first. Fierro holds him on there. Mallett will come set in the stretch. A quick throw over, and Rainey dives back in safely. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Mallett comes set. Holly ready to go. The 0-2 pitch. Misses low and outside. Rainey off and running to throw up the baseline. And a stolen base for Jackson Rainey. A 1-2 count now to Holly with 2 outs and a runner at second base. First stolen base of the night for the Eagles. For Jackson Rainey on the year, that is his 7th stolen base. And now in scoring position, Mallett comes set. A look back at second. The 1-2 pitch to Holly. Down in the turf. Good stop by Borger. And the count goes even now. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Luke Holly. Colton Crutchfield, the left fielder, waits on deck behind Holly if he can extend this inning here in the top of the first. 2 runs already across for Georgetown. On a 2-run lead, Mallett will step off and reset. Mallett now comes set in the stretch. A look back at second. The 2-2 pitch. Low and away. Ball 3. And now the count goes full to Luke Holly with 2 outs and a runner at second base. The Eagles trying to create more stir here in the top of the first. They've already put across 2 runs on the inning to take the 2-0 lead. Holly back in from the right side. A long look in from Mallett. Now Holly's going to take a time and step out, make everybody reset. Coach Vieira, the third base coach for your Eagles, wearing number 44 down the third baseline. Coach David Durrell, number 25 down the first baseline. The 3-2 pitch. Low and outside, a 2-out walk to Luke Holly. Extends the inning for the Eagles. The first walk issued by Mallett. Along with 3 hits, 2 runs, a wild pitch, and 1 error by the catcher, Borger.
Number 9, Colton Crutchfield.
And now Colton Crutchfield will step in, the left fielder. He wears number 9. Colton is 6'2", 180-pound junior. Bats from the right side. On the season for Luke Holly, that was his 15th walk of the season. And a big one with 2 outs here in the top of the first. Runners on first and second. Crutchfield in for the right side. Mallett comes set. The first pitch to Crutchfield. And Crutchfield will take it for a called strike. 0-1 the count. Crutchfield in 7 games that he's played this year, 14 plate appearances, 11 at-bats, a .273 batting average. He scored 2 runs. He struck out 3 times. The 0-1 pitch takes a hack at it, swing and a miss, strike 2, 0-2 now the count. To your left fielder, Colton Crutchfield. On deck, Hayden Grooms, the DH. Should Crutchfield be able to extend the inning. Jackson Rainey, a 2-out base hit, stole second base, down at second base. Luke Holly, a 2-out walk at first. Mallett comes set. The 0-2 pitch to Crutchfield. Way outside. Nice job by Borger to keep that one from the backstop. And the count goes to 1-2 now to Colton Crutchfield. The number 7 hitter in the Georgetown lineup. Here in the top of the first. 2 runs across, 3 hits, an error, and a wild pitch. All here in the top of the first inning. Now Mallett will step off. Crutchfield will take his time out. Now step back in the box from the right side. Rainey leads off second. Luke Holly off first base. Mallett will come set on the mound to look back at second base. The 1-2 pitch. And a ball slapped foul down the first baseline out of play. And the count stays 1-2 to Crutchfield now. Other action tonight in District 23. Eastview's at Pflugerville, Elgin at Cedar Creek, and Conley at Bastrop. Take all those games, switch them around on Friday night. And those 2 teams will, all 2 teams will meet again. Hendrickson will be back at Georgetown for that game. The 1-2 pitch, Crutchfield flies one down the right field line, but it's going to curl out of play. And a good quality at bat here by Colton Crutchfield as he keeps it alive with a 1-2 count, 2 foul balls in the at bat. And now just a couple of pitches away from seeing 30 in the first half of an inning from the pitcher, Camden Mallett. So a good job by the Eagle hitters here in the top of the first, plus a 2-run lead to add on. Rainey leads off second, Holly off first. Mallett gets the sign and comes set, looks at second. And now the 1-2 pitch to Crutchfield. Chases the high heater for strike 3. And the Eagles are retired here in the top of the first. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. After half an inning, Georgetown 2, Pflugerville Hendrickson coming up to bat. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment.
A portion of this broadcast of Georgetown Eagle Baseball by First Responder Broadcasting is brought to you by Carissa Bradford, your local Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is an insurance provider built by Texans for Texans, protecting our families since 1952. The mission of Texas Farm Bureau is to help policyholders manage the financial risk of everyday life and successfully recover from insured losses through prompt, professional, personal service based on high ethical standards. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance offers comprehensive insurance policies for auto, home, farm and ranch, commercial, and life. Carissa can help you find the perfect policy to give you peace of mind that you're covered by a trusted and reputable insurer. For all your insurance needs, call Carissa at 512-777-8511 or visit www.tfb-ins.com.
Back here as we go to the bottom of the first inning on the mound for your Georgetown Eagles. will be your junior left fielder, David Fluitt, 6'1", 170-pound junior. Bats left, throws left. He is pitching tonight for the first time in a couple of weeks after tweaking a minor injury a couple of weeks ago. Took the week off to get recovered, and he'll start out tonight on the mound for your Georgetown Eagles. Defensively for your Eagles here in the bottom of the first inning, Crutchfield in left, Peterson in center, Rainey in right, Holly at third, Kiki at short, Ball at second, Leininger at first. Behind the plate, Reese Herrera, and on the mound is David Fluitt. James Lee will step in, the senior outfielder. He's playing senior center field here tonight for the Hawks. He'll step in from the right side. Face off against Fluitt. He's thrown 17 innings on the year. He's 2-0 in the score in the win column. 17 hits allowed, 7 runs, 6 of them earned. From the windup, the lefty throws the first pitch, and it's in there for a called strike to James Lee. And we're underway here in the bottom of the first inning. It's brought to you by Carissa Bradford, your Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent. Fluitt from the windup, the 0-1 pitch, inside for ball one. 1-1 the count as James Lee had squared around a bunt. Holly up on the grass at third base, Leininger back at first base. With the bunt possibility here from the center fielder Lee. Fluitt gets the sign, the 1-1 pitch. Square to bunt, take it high for ball 2. 2-1 now the count to James Lee. Jake McGuire, Kevin Haslam also due up here in the bottom of the first. McGuire the third baseman, Haslam the shortstop for the Hawks. Fluitt from the windup, the 2-1 pitch. Square to bunt, he'll pull it back and take it for a called strike. 2-2 now the count to James Lee as he leads off here in the bottom of the first for the Hawks. Fluitt, you'll get the sign from Reese Herrera from the windup. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Herrera will have to throw down and does to Leininger in time for the strikeout. Put him out. So 1 strikeout in the ball game.
Number 11, Jake.
2-3 on the putout to get Lee down at first base on the drop third strike. And now Jake McGuire will step in from the right side. Jake McGuire, the junior utility, steps in for the right side. The first pitch from Fluitt. Inside corner, called strike 1. And there's that corner we talked about in the top half of the inning. See where the umpire establishes it, and he stays consistent here in the bottom of the first. Fluitt from the third base side of the rubber. The 0-1 pitch. Inside corner low. Misses for ball 1. 1-1 the count now to the third baseman, Jake McGuire. 1-1. The count to McGuire. Fluitt from the windup. The 1-1 pitch. And that'll hit him. That'll give the Hawks a 1-out base runner and the hit by pitch. First one of the ball game for either team.
Next up, number 12.
On the season, that is just the first batter hit by a pitch by David Fluitt as the shortstop Kevin Haslam steps in. Haslam, the utility player, steps in. He's played shortstop tonight. Bats from the right side. The junior ready to go with 1 out. And a runner at first. Being held on by Leininger is McGuire. Fluitt's first pitch up and in. Ball 1. 1-0 the count to Haslam. As Fluitt works out of the stretch from the third base side of the rubber. The runner at first base. Here in the bottom of the first, 2-0 Georgetown. 2 across to the top half of the inning. The 1-0 pitch. A ground ball slapped down the third baseline, and it's fair. A long run for Crutchfield. He's going to have to chase it down. McGuire around to third. He'll be stopped there, and that's a 1-out double to put 2 men in scoring position for the Hawks. Nice piece of hitting there by Haslam. 1-out double.
Yeah, baby.
Moves McGuire all the way around to third base. First hit of the ball game
Now batting
for the Hawks, and now in steps number 22, Camden Malott, the junior infielder pitcher, on the mound to start the ball game for the Hawks. Steps in from the right side with 1 out, runners on second and third. If it seems loud in the crowd, Mike, it is. It's loud in our ears here in the stadium. You have it at peaked volume here from the booth. The first pitch from Fluitt to Malott. That one is up and away for ball 1. Here in the bottom of the first. 1 out, runners at second and third for the Hawks. The number 4 hitter, Camden Malott, steps back in. A 1-0 pitch from Fluitt. That one stays high for ball 2. 2-0 the count. On deck, Gavin Fierro, the first baseman for the Hawks. Fluitt comes set, the 2-0 pitch. And that one's in there on the inside corner for a called strike. 2-1 the count now to Malott. Fluitt will come set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch, up and away, ball 3, and now a 3-1 count to Malott. With runners at second and third and one out here in the bottom of the inning. 2-0 lead as Georgetown puts up 2 in the top half of the inning. McGuire leads off third. Haslam off second as Fluid comes set in the stretch. The 3-1 pitch. Ground ball hit. Holly will cut it off at third base. It's off his glove. And that's going to allow the run to score from third. And Mallett will reach first base on the error. So the first error of the ball game by the Eagles.
Now batting number 7.
McGuire scores to cut it to a 2-1 ball game. Haslam unable to advance as Holly kept it in front of him. On to courtesy run for the pitcher, Mallett, is number 2, Elijah Negrete, the junior. And so a 2-1 score. Hawks have 1 out here in the bottom half of the inning, and runners at first and second. Haslam leads off of second base. Mallett or Negrete off first base. The first pitch to Fierro is high for ball 1. 1-0 the count to the first baseman, Gavin Fierro. He's a junior here on the Hawk baseball team. On deck, number 4, Pearson DeLeo, the left fielder. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. Fierro chased the letter high fastball, and the count evens out at 1-1. Haslam off second base. The 1-1 pitch. Fierro will send it into left center field. Crutchfield on the run, and he will get to it and make the catch for out number 2. He'll come up and hit the cutoff. Haslam will advance to third on the fly ball. But now 2 outs in the inning with runners on the corners. And that'll bring up DeLeo, the left fielder. F7 in the book. Good job by Crutchfield to go get that one into the gap there.
Pearson DeLeo.
Out number 2. Haslam will tag up. He moves up to third base. And in steps Pearson DeLeo, the left fielder from the right side. He's a junior as well. Fluid will come set in the stretch. Throw over to first base. As the runner Negrete back easily there, being held on by Leinecker. Haslam leads off third base. 2 outs here in the bottom of the inning. Fluid comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to DeLeo is in there for a called strike on the inside corner. 0-1 the count. DeLeo, the number 6 hitter in the lineup for the Hawks. No 1 count with 2 outs. Runners on the corners. Fluid will come set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch just misses for ball 1. 1-1 now the count to DeLeo. The first sign of a left-handed batter on deck for the Hawks in Cole McCracken, the right fielder. Another throw to first base. And Negrete back in there safely. Negrete, courtesy running for the pitcher Malott. After he reached on the error. 1-1 count to DeLeo. Fluid, another throw to first base. DeLeo back in for the right side. Fluid to look in and gets a sign. Comes set it in the stretch. The 1-1 pitch. Delayed still here by Negrete to try to draw a throw to score Haslam. And the Eagles don't bite, so a stolen base given away there to the Hawks. Their first of the ball game. So runners on second and third. A 2-1 count. That one looked a little bit more of a strike, but a 2-1 count. The 2-1 pitch. Fly ball hit into right center field. Devin Peterson will take the call and make the catch for out number 3 into right center field to retire the Hawks here in the bottom of the first. But not before the Hawks pick up 1 run on 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. After 1 complete inning, Georgetown 2, Hendrickson 1. Stay with us. Eagle Baseball continues after this. And we go to the top of the second inning. The Eagles will bring up the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Hayden Grooms, Jack Kiki, and Devin Peterson against the right-handed pitcher Malat for the Hendrickson Hawks. Hayden Grooms will step in and lead things off. The DH tonight, the 5'10", 180-pound junior. Bats right, throws right as he steps in for his first plate appearance of the ball game. In the first inning, Malat threw 28 pitches, gave up 3 hits, struck out 1, walked 1, 1 wild pitch. The first pitch to Grooms misses for a ball, 1-0 the count. To Hayden Grooms, the DH. Malat from the windup, the 1-0 pitch to Grooms. That one's in there for a called strike, 1-1 now the count. Malat's 1-1 pitch. It's in there, called strike 2, 1-2 the count. To Hayden Grooms, leading it off here in the top of the second for your Eagles. 1 ball, 2 strike count for the DH. The 1-2 pitch. Grooms will foul it back to the screen and stay alive in the bat. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jack Kiki, the shortstop, on deck for the Eagles. Devin Peterson, the center fielder, in the hole. Malat's 1-2 pitch. Down in the turf. 4 ball, 2. Count evens up, 2-2 now to Hayden Grooms. Malat gets the sign from the windup. A swing and a miss. Grooms chase it down into the turf. But they're going to say that Morger made the catch. So a strikeout there, the second of the ball game for Malat. 1 out here in the inning. That'll bring up number 20, Jack Kiki, the only sophomore here on the roster. The 5'11", 160-pound infielder pitcher. Playing shortstop tonight and wearing number 20. Steps in for the right side. Kiki steps in with 1 out and the base is empty here in the bottom of the second. First pitch swinging up the middle, backhanded into, attempted backhand by Peterson at second base. Into center field for a base hit as he's not able to get over to it in time. And so Kiki reaches on the 1 out single.
At bat number 17, Devin Peterson.
And that'll bring up Devin Peterson here, the top of the lineup for your Eagles. Center fielder, 1 for 1 in the ball game. Till I hear otherwise, the double scored a run. Hit it into left field on a fly ball. Haslam, the shortstop, drifted back into the grass to make the catch, was called off, and DeLeo unable to get to it from left field. First pitch to Peterson, he lays off and takes it for a called strike. 0-1 the count. 1 out here in the top of the second. Kiki aboard on the 1 out single to center field. He'll lead off first. Fierro holds him on there. Peterson back in from the right side. Malat comes set in the stretch. The throw over to first base. Kiki dives back in safely there. 0-1 count with 1 out. A runner at first. Malat set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Ground ball. High hopper fielded by the third baseman. McGuire, he'll throw across the diamond in time for the out. 5-3 on the putout to retire Peterson. Kiki will move up to second base with 2 outs, and that'll bring up number 2, Talon Ball.
At bat number 2, Talon Ball.
Talon 1 for 1 in the ball game, an RBI single in the first that scored Peterson from second base. Advanced to second on a wild pitch, to third on a throwing error by the catcher Borger that went into center field, and then scored on the ground ball by Reese Herrera for the second run of the inning. Ball in from the right side. Mallett comes set, a look at second. The first pitch to Talon, and he'll send it into center field. It's curling to right center. The center fielder, Lee, on the run, and he'll get back there and make the catch for out number 3. F8 in the book, retire a Talon Ball of the Eagles here in the top of the second. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. After a 1.5 innings, Georgetown 2, Hendrickson 1. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. we go to the bottom of the second inning. The Hawks will bring up the 7, 8, and 9 hitters, Cole McCracken, Rhett Peterson, and Braden Borger. And this death metal comes across the mic. Fluid for a second inning of work. The first pitch is in there for a called strike to Cole McCracken, the right fielder. 0-1 on the count. McCracken is a sophomore for the Hawks. Leads off here in the bottom of the second inning. The 0-1 pitch from Fluid. Swing and a miss, strike 2. 0-2 the count. To the right fielder with Rhett Peterson on deck. Braden Borger in the hole. For the Hawks, Fluid from the windup. The 0-2 pitch to McCracken. Breaking ball, outside corner, called strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Strikeout number 2 in the ball game for David Fluid. And that'll bring up the second baseman, number 20, Rhett Peterson. Peterson, a freshman here for the Hawks, steps in from the right side. Where's number 20? And he'll step in here with one out and the base is empty. Here in the bottom of the second, Fluid from the windup. The first pitch to Peterson is up high for ball 1. 1-0 the count. The catcher, Braden Borger, on deck for the Hendrickson Hawks. Here in the bottom of the second, Fluid from the windup. The 1-0 pitch. That one's on the inside corner for a called strike. 1-1 now the count to the freshman second baseman, Rhett Peterson. Fluid from the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Now swing and a miss, strike 2, 1-2 now the count to Rhett Peterson. Peterson back in, Fluid from the windup. The 1-2 pitch stays high for ball 2, 2-2 the count now. One out here in the bottom of the second, a 2-1 score. Georgetown leads it by 1 over the Hawks. 2 in the top of the first for the Eagles, 1 in the bottom of the first for the Hawks. The 2-2 pitch. That one bounces in for ball 3 and a full count now to the second baseman, Rhett Peterson for Hendrickson. The payoff pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Third strikeout of the ball game for Fluid. Brings up the second out of the inning. And that'll bring up the catcher, number 18, Braden Borger. Borger, the freshman catcher, steps in from the left side, throws right, bats left. The number 9 hitter in the lineup steps in here with 2 outs and the base is empty. The first pitch from Fluid in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count. In his first inning of work, Fluid struck out 1, allowed 1 hit, hit 1 batter. Had 1 run allowed with 1 error, left 2 on base, 22 pitches thrown. The 0-1 pitch, outside corner, called strike 2, and an 0-2 count. Here to the catcher, Braden Borger, the number 9 hitter for the Hawks, in the bottom of the second with 2 outs and the base is empty. The 0-2 pitch just misses for ball 1, 1-2 the count. On deck, the center fielder, James Lee. For the Hawks, should Borger be able to extend the inning. From the windup, the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, left field, down the left field line, but it's going to curl back out of play. Luke Holly gives chase, but unable to get there before it goes out of play, and the count stays 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The base is empty here in the bottom of the second. Fluid gets a sign from Herrera. The 1-2 pitch. Ground ball hit out to second. Talent ball and a hop fields it. The throw to first in time, and the Hawks are retired here in the bottom of the second. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on base. After 2 complete, Georgetown 2, Pflugerville 1. Baseball for Georgetown continues in a minute here on the SHN Sports Network. And we go to the top of the third, brought to you by Mahan Home and Construction Commercial Services. Contact Jesse Mahan for all your needs. The top of the third, the Eagles bring up the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Leininger, Herrera, and Rainey. Leininger steps in 0 for 1 in the ball game. From the left side, the first pitch from Mallett. And a fly ball on the left side, or right side of the infield. Back towards the dugout, but back into the first base dugout for foul ball. 0-1 the count now to Riley Leininger. Borger gave chase along with Fierro, the first baseman. But that one went into the dugout and came back behind home plate. Reese Herrera picks it up and gives it to the umpire. No ball, 1 strike. The count to Riley Leininger, your first baseman. Flew out to the second baseman, Peterson, back in the first inning. Steps in here to lead it off at the top of the third for Georgetown. Mallett from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 2, 0-2 now the count. Through 2 innings, 38 pitches thrown by Mallett, allowing 4 hits, 2 runs. Struck out 2, walked 1. The 0-2 pitch into the gap, right center field. Leininger around first, motors to second base. He's going to have a triple on this one. He'll circle second base, and he's headed to third. Here comes the relay. The throw to third, not in time. And Riley Leininger slides in with a leadoff triple here in the top of the third for Georgetown on an 0-2 pitch. What a great piece of hitting there for Leininger on the year. That is Leininger's second triple. And the Eagles have business going here in the top of the third as Reese Herrera steps in. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game, but he has an RBI as he grounded out back in the first to score Talon Ball. And now he steps in here with a runner at third and no outs. Mallett moves to the stretch as Leininger leads off first. Herrera ready to go from the right side. The first pitch fouled off back to the screen. 0-1 the count. Reese Herrera, your catcher, steps back in. 0-1 the count as Mallett comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch and a ball sent over to second base. Peterson fields it. He'll throw to first in time, but that'll score the run. Another RBI for Reese Herrera as he scores Leininger from third base. 4-3 on the putout to record the out of Herrera, but his second RBI on the night. And that'll bring up Jackson Rainey. The left fielder, he's 1 for 1 in the ball game. Stole second base, was left stranded. The first pitch to Rainey, he hits it into center field, and it'll be down for another base hit. Another base hit for Rainey into center field. He's 2 for 2 on the night. The inning gets going again here with 1 out. 6th hit of the ball game for your Eagles. And that'll bring up the third baseman, number 6, Luke Hawley. He drew a walk at his first plate appearance as he steps in here with 1 out and a runner at first. Mallett in the stretch. Hits the sign and comes set. The first pitch to Hawley, squares the bunt, pulls it back and takes it for a called strike. 0-1 the count. Little delay by the home plate umpire to call it. He now goes over and talks to Luke. 0-1 the count to Luke with 1 out and a runner at first base. 1 run across here in the inning for the Eagles. A 3-1 lead here over the Hawks. Coach Pierre down at third base, now donning the Eagle hoodie. Both coaches have his drill down the right field line at first base. Give the signs. Hawley back in for the right side. The 0-1 pitch. Hawley takes a hack at it, fouls it off back to the screen. 0-2 now the count to the junior third baseman, Luke Hawley. Walked and left stranded in the first inning as he stands in here at the top of the third with 1 out and a runner at first. Rainey a good lead off, being held on by Fierro at first base. The 0-2 pitch. Hawley takes it high for ball 1. 1-2 the count to Luke. Hawley back in for the right side. Mallett comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Hawley hits it back up the middle. The shortstop is over there, but can't handle it. No play at second, and it's an error on the shortstop. Allows Hawley to reach for first base. Now runners at first and second with 1 out, and in steps Colton Crutchfield.
Number 9, Colton Crutchfield.
So an E6 there for the Hawks. Allows Rainey to move up to second. Hawley to reach base at first, and now Colton Crutchfield is 0 for 1 in the ball game. He'll step in with 1 out and runners at first and second with Hayden Grooms, the DH, on deck for the Eagles. Crutchfield back from the right side, steps in. Mallett comes set. A look at second. Now he'll step off and reset. Crutchfield back in, ready to go. Mallett a long look in. We'll get the sign from Borger and come set. A look back at second. The first pitch to Crutchfield. Ground ball to third. Fielded. Steps on the bag. The only play to first. It's in the dirt. It's dug out by Fierro. A nice double play to get the Eagles out of the inning. Here in the top of the third, it'll be 5 unassisted and 5-3 on the double play. And the Eagles are retired, but not before they pick up 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. After 2.5, Georgetown 3, Hendrickson 1. Eagle baseball continues in a moment.
A portion of this broadcast of Georgetown Eagle Baseball is brought to you by Mahan Home and Commercial Services. Your source for all things roofing. We provide you with all the information you need to make a decision about your roof, the first line of defense against Mother Nature. A veteran-owned small business that believes in service with a purpose. Our mission is to service our residential neighbors and commercial community by providing the utmost quality materials and service. Our services include residential roofing, commercial roofing, ladder assist, and holiday lighting. Contact Jesse Mahan at 512-828-7800 or visit their website at mahanhcs.com. Mahan Home and Commercial Services, proud sponsor of First Responder Broadcasting and Georgetown Eagle Baseball.
We go to the bottom of the third inning. The Hawks will bring up the 1, 2, and 3 hitters, Lee, McGuire, and Haslam, as they trail by 2 here going to the bottom of the third. James Lee, the center fielder, will step in from the right side, 0 for 1 in the ball game. The first pitch from Fluid. Line drive hit up the middle, and it's a base hit into center field. Just the second hit of the ball game for the Hawks.
Now batting for the Hawks, number 11.
Well, that's a quick base hit on the first pitch of the inning, seen by James Lee. 36 pitches thrown through 2 innings by Fluid. He's only allowed 1 hit, struck out 3, one hit batter, and allowed 1 run. And now Jake McGuire will step in. He was the one hit by a pitch, scored the only run of the ballgame for the Hawks. He squares the bunt. Holly will charge at third. The pitch, bunt foul, back out of play towards the first base dugout. 0-1 the count to McGuire. So with the defensive pressure there from Holly at third base, McGuire's only play is going to be down the first base line to keep his runner safe at first, trying to advance on the bunt. McGuire squares early. Fluid from the stretch. He'll throw to first. Lee back standing there as he's bouncing back and forth, drawing the attention of Fluid. 0-1 the count to McGuire, who's 0 for 0 in the ballgame. Hit by a pitch and scored a run. Fluid a long look in. Comes set in the stretch. McGuire squares early. The 0-1 pitch is up and away for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Lee leads on first base, held on by Leininger. McGuire squares early as Fluid comes set in the stretch. Throw over to first base again. Lee steps back on the bag safely there. 2 runs in the first, 1 in the third for the Eagles, 1 in the bottom of the first for the Hawks as they bat here in the bottom of the third, trailing by 2. The 3-1 pitch. Pop fly right side of the infield. Leininger will take it just a step foul for out number 1. P3 in the book to retire McGuire. He squared the bunt, pulled it back and took a swing at it. Popped out for the first out of the inning. Lee back to the bag, unable to advance, and now with 1 out and a runner at first, in steps Kevin Haslam. He doubled down the left field line in the first inning, was left stranded at third base as he steps in here in the bottom of the third with 1 out and a runner at first. Fluid comes set, the first pitch to Haslam. It's in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count to the shortstop. Camden Malott, the pitcher, on deck for the Hawks here in the bottom of the third as the sun almost completely set behind us. Fluid comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch breaks away. The wild pitch will allow Lee to advance to second base. That was down in the turf and away from the catcher, Reese Herrera. 1-1 the count. Now to Haslam.
Yeah, baby.
So 1-1. The count to Haslam with 1 out. Or now a runner in scoring position at second base as James Lee reached on a leadoff single. Now up to second on the wild pitch as Fluid will come set in the stretch. A look back at second base. The 1-1 pitch to Haslam. That breaking pitch stays high. 2-1 now the count to Kevin Haslam, the shortstop. 1 for 1 of the ball game. A double left stranded in the first as he steps in here. 2-1 count with 1 out and a runner at second. Fluid will come set in the stretch from the third base side of the rubber. A look at second. Now the 2-1 pitch. Inside corner called strike 2. The count evens up at 2-2 now for Haslam. Fluid comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch. Breaking pitch popped up. Herrera has a long run over towards the first base dugout, but it hits off of the wall for a foul ball. Count remains 2-2. Nice effort there from the catcher, Reese Herrera. But Haslam's at-bat stays alive here with 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. In the bottom of the third, the Hawks, a runner at second base. A leadoff single by James Lee, the leadoff batter. Into center field, advances to second on the wild pitch. He leads off there as Fluid gets a sign from Herrera, comes set in the stretch. A look back at second base, the 2-2 pitch. That's swing and a miss, strike 3. Kevin Haslam down on strikes for out number 2. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Camden Malott. 4 strikeout of the ball game for David Fluid on the season. That is Fluid's 19th. He came into the ball game with 15 strikeouts recorded. Now with 19 on the season. Malott steps in. He's 0 for 1 of the ball game. Reached on an error, was left stranded at second. First pitch, inside corner, called strike 1. 0-1 the count to Mallett with 2 outs and a runner at second. On deck, Fierro, the first baseman. Should Mallett extend this inning? Fluid comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Line drive hit out to second. Ball will field it on a hop. The throw to first in time, and the Hawks are retired here in the bottom of the third. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. After 3 complete, Georgetown 3, Hendrickson 1. First Responder Broadcasting brings you Georgetown Eagle Baseball here on the SHN Network. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We go to the top of the 4th inning. The Eagles will bring up the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Hayden Grooms, Jack Kiki, and Devin Peterson. Grooms 0 for 1 in the ball game. Struck out back in the 2nd inning. Steps in here to lead it off. Takes the first pitch for a called strike, 0-1. Through 3 innings, Mallett has given up 6 hits, struck out 2, walked 1, allowed 3 runs with 1 wild pitch. Has thrown 49 pitches. 1-1 the count to Grooms as Mallett now. Timeout awarded to Grooms as Mallett was getting ready to start his delivery. The count 1-1 to Grooms. The DH, Kiki on deck, Devin Peterson in the hole for the Eagles here in the top of the 4th. Mallett the 1-1 pitch, misses outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count. To Hayden Grooms. The DH back in, the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 2-2 the count. As Grooms leads off here and in the top of the 4th for your Eagles. The 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. Grooms stays alive in the at-bat. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Thursday night, Mesquite Creek Outfitters, come talk to us. We'll be there for the Eagle Baseball Coaches Show. The 2-2 pitch. Misses low, ball 3. A full count now to Hayden Grooms. So he leads off here in the bottom or top of the fourth. Then Friday night, come join us. I'll be back in the booth at Georgetown. This is weather stays cooling off after the sun goes down. We'll be back for game 2 between these two teams on Friday night, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. Come join us in the stands. These kids on a run right now. They lead it 3-1 here in game 1. Grooms back in. The payoff pitch from Mallett stays high. A leadoff walk by Hayden Grooms has a base runner aboard. Second walk of the ball game issued by Mallett.
Jack Kiki.
And that'll bring up Jack Kiki, the sophomore shortstop. He's 1 for 1 in the ball game. Singled in the second, was left stranded at second base. Steps in here with no outs and a runner at first. Grooms will lead off first. Vieira will hold him on there as Peterson moves into the on-deck circle for the Eagles. Kiki came into the ball game batting .233. That's gone up with a hit. Squares the bunt. Drops the bunt down the first baseline. It's going to be tough to play. Mallett fields it, throws it. It's an error. Collision at first base. Kiki is down, but that's going to allow Grooms to move into third base. Now Kiki up as Fierro went for that ball. And now Kiki on base. So an error there on the pitcher, Mallett. They're going to check on Kiki to make sure he's all right. And Coach Neely comes out of the first base dugout to check on the runner Kiki as well. But he is up. Coach Durrell down with him. And he's sitting there patting Fierro on the back like, you all right? I'm all right. Here we go. Now the Eagles have runners on the corners with no outs thanks to the error there by Fierro, or by Mallett, the pitcher. Grooms got to third base. And in steps Devin Peterson. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game. A run scored on a double in the first inning. Steps in here with no outs. Mallett gets a sign and comes set. Peterson squares the bunt. The first pitch, Peterson pulls it back and takes it. That allows Kiki to move up into second base with the stolen base. Now 2 runners in scoring positions with no outs. Here in the top of the fourth. 1-0 the count to Devin Peterson. Talent ball on deck. Riley Leininger in the hole for the Eagles here in the top of the fourth. Runners second and third with no outs. Mallett comes set. The infield in for the Hawks. The 1-0 pitch. Peterson lays off and takes it for a called strike. 1-1 the count to the senior center fielder. The infield on the grass for the Hawks. They'll want to try to cut this run down on any ground ball. Peterson back in for the right side. Mallett gets the sign and comes set. The 1-1 pitch. Peterson fouls it off back to the screen. 1-2 now the count to Devin Peterson. No outs and runners on second and third. A leadoff walk by Grooms, and then a bunt laid down by Kiki and a throwing error by Mallett as he threw it over the head of the first baseman, Fierro. Down the right field line, Grooms advanced, and then Kiki stole second. The 1-2 pitch. Peterson, ground ball to the shortstop, and it's under his glove into center field. 1 run scores. Here comes Kiki from second. He'll score. That throw home will allow Peterson to move into scoring position at second, and the Eagles lead it 5-1. What a job there. They talk about it. The infield plays in. It raises the batting averages of about 100 to each batter. That's an error on your shortstop, Haslam, as that went under his glove. A chance to field that and make the play. He doesn't do it, so a big error there, the second of the inning. And then Peterson advances on the throw to second base. So it'll be an E6 in the book, and that will score both runs as Grooms and Kiki come in to score to make it 5-1. Talent Ball will step in, 1 for 2 in the ball game with no outs and a runner at second. Fierro's first pitch, ball squares to bunt, bunts it, but back out in front of the mound. Mallett fills it, throws to Fierro. Now it's down the line. Here comes Peterson to score. Talent Ball around second. He's headed to third. Here comes the throw. The relay will be held, and Talent Ball all the way around to third. As Mallett threw it, it went up the line. Fierro went to try to catch it. Talent Ball was in the base path, in the runner's area. And the ball gets awry, and it goes up the line. A 6-run scores, and Talent Ball down at third base. The wheels falling off for the Hawks here on 3 errors in the inning.
Number 21, Riley Leininger.
Leininger will step in. He's 1 for 2 on the ball game with a triple and a run scored. Mallett comes set in the stretch. Talent Ball leads off third. The first pitch to Leininger, outside, ball 1. Leininger had an 0-2 count in the third inning and then drove the 0-2 pitch to the right center field gap with a slid in with the triple. Came in to score the run in the third. The 1-0 pitch. Popped up left side of the infield. Haslam, the shortstop, will call off the third baseman, McGuire, and make the catch for out number 1. P6 in the book to record the out of Leininger for out number 1. And that'll bring up the catcher, Reese Herrera. And Herrera 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Herrera, 2 RBIs in the ballgame. He put the ball into play, ground balls that scored the runners from third base in each of his 2 plate appearances. And so he's done his job at the plate as well. He stands in here, the first pitch, fouls it off back to the backstop, 0-1 to count to Reese Herrera. Grounded out to the shortstop in the first inning to the second baseman, but each time scored the runner from third base. And the Eagles lead it 6-1 here in the top of the 4th. Talon ball at third, so another opportunity for Herrera on the season now with 8 RBIs. As he steps in here with 1 out and an 0-1 count. Mallett comes set, the 0-1 pitch. And Herrera lays off and takes it for ball 1, 1-1 to count. 3 big errors in the inning for the Hawks have pushed 3 runs across for the Eagles. Herrera back in from the right side, the 1-1 count. Mallett's 1-1 pitch. Herrera, fly ball, right side of the infield into shallow right field. Peterson makes the catch, but Talon ball's going to tag. Here comes the throw. Talon ball slides in, save! Give it a sac fly. Reese Herrera, and great base running by Talon ball, and the Eagles lead it 7-1 over the Hendrickson Hawks. What a job by Reese Herrera tonight. He has done his job to the fullest at the plate. 3 times has he come up with runners on third base, and he's plated them all. And the Eagles lead it 7-1. In steps Jackson Rainey. He is 2 for 2 in the ballgame with 2 singles. 2 outs here. The base is empty. The Eagles lead it 7-1. 4 runs across in the inning. Swing and a miss for strike 1 to Jackson Rainey. So a sac fly there. The 0-1 pitch misses up and away for ball 1. 1-1 now the count. Beautiful piece of hitting there by Herrera as he scored Talon ball, his 3rd RBI of the ball game on that sac fly. 1-1 the count to Jackson Rainey with the bases empty and 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Now Mallett will step off and ask for the catcher Borger to come out to go through the signs again. But the Eagles, 2 runs in the first, 1 in the third, 4 across here in the top of the 4th, and they've expanded their lead to 7-1 over the Hawks. And in this inning, it's come on a lot of errors. A nice sac fly, a base on balls, but 3 big errors by the Hawks. Now Rainey back in from the right side, a 1-1 count with 2 outs and the base is empty. Mallett gets the sign, the 1-1 pitch. Breaking pitch misses on the corner, 2-1 now the count to the right fielder, Jackson Rainey. Luke Holly, the third baseman, waits on deck. Should Rainey be able to extend the inning here for the Eagles? Mallett gets the sign, the 2-1 pitch to Rainey. Rainey, base hit, left field. What a job by the lefty. He pushed it back between the 5-6 gap into left field, a 2-out single. And the inning continues, and in steps Luke Holly.
Now batting number 6.
7th hit of the ball game for your Eagles, 3rd of the night for Jackson Rainey. And now Holly will step in with 2 outs and a runner at first. Luke, 0 for 1 in the ball game, walked in the first, reached on an error in the third. Steps in here with 2 outs. Rainey, Holly squares, bunts down the third baseline, and it's going to stay fair. What a ball. What a job by Luke Holly. The 2nd game in a row, he did the same thing. And now runners on first and second. Back-to-back singles. Well played by the PA guy. But a base hit for Luke Holly, the 8th of the ball game for the Eagles. And now runners at first and second. Still moves into second base. Not sure what the first pitch was called. It was called a ball. So it's a 1-0 count to Crutchfield, the 9th hitter of the inning for the Eagles. Holly into second on the delayed still. Rainey stole third base. So the double still there. 1-0 pitch is in there for a called strike. 1-1 for Colton Crutchfield with 2 runners in scoring positions and 2 outs here in the inning. Holly on the season. That's his 12th stolen base. The 1-1 pitch grounded to third. McGuire fields it, throws on the run across his body, but it's an error up the baseline. That'll score Rainey easily from third. Holly cruises in from second. Crutchfield up to second base, the 4th error of the inning, and it's a 9-1 ball game for your Georgetown Eagles. Crutchfield puts it into play And it's a throwing error on the third baseman, McGuire. Fourth error of the inning for the Hawks. And that'll score Rainey from third. And Lou Colley from second base. And in steps Hayden Grooms for his Grooms. He fouls it down the first baseline. Lost by Fierro, but it ends up going out of play. 0-1 the count to Hayden Grooms, the 10th hitter of the inning for your Georgetown Eagles. They have opened it up to a 9-1 lead here in the top of the fourth. Grooms will step back in for the right side. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. A strikeout and a walk with a run scored. As he bats for his second time in the inning. The 0-1 pitch lays off, takes it low and outside. Ball one, 1-1 the count. Mallett comes set in the stretch, looks back at second base. The 1-1 pitch to Grooms. Grooms, base hit, left field. What a job there. Under the left fielder. That's going to score the run easily. Grooms around first. He's headed to second. He's going to be stopped there. So the base hit RBI by Grooms. He advances to second on the error. The 5th error of the inning, and here comes the visit from Coach Healy for the Hawks. We'll take a break. Georgetown leads at 10-1. We'll be right back with bring up number 20, Jack Kiki, for the second time of the inning after a beautiful base hit by Hayden Grooms. And then the error allows both runs to score in a 10-1 lead. Leo Yanez in to pitch for the Hawks. First pitch to Kiki on the corner for a called strike one. So Yanez will step in here with 2 outs and a runner at second base for the Hawks. 7 runs across on the inning. First pitch was a strike. Now the 0-1 pitch to Kiki. Kiki sends it right center field. The right fielder over, the center fielder over. The right fielder will take it for the third out. F9 in the book to retire Kiki and the Eagles, but not before Georgetown does some damage here at the top of the fourth. They put up 7 runs on the inning thanks to 5 Hawk errors, a couple of hits. We'll come back, fill that in unless we get it straightened out. But the Eagles lead it 10-1 here as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Eagle baseball continues in just a moment. And we're back here. We go to the bottom of the fourth, 10-1. Georgetown has separated themselves now after a 7-run top of the fourth inning. And now face off now for the Hawks. Will bring up the 5, 6, and 7 hitters. First pitch, swing and a miss by Fierro. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. So he flew out to left field back in the first inning. Flew it on for his 4th inning of work. He's thrown 48 pitches through 3 innings, allowing 2 hits. Struck out 4, 1 hit by pitch. Allowed 1 run, 1 wild pitch. 1 pitch misses for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Fierro, DeLeo, and McCracken due up here in the inning. The 1-1 pitch from Fluid. Inside corner called strike 2. 1-2 the count. To Gavin Fierro, the first baseman. Fluid from the windup. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 5th strikeout of the ball game for Fluid now with 20 on the season. First out is recorded. Fierro down in swinging. 1 out. Out number 1. Pearson DeLeo, the left fielder, steps in. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. Flew out to center fielder back in the first as he steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty. First pitch on their inside corner called strike 1. DeLeo back in for the right side. Fluid gets the sign, the 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Cole McCracken, the right fielder, on deck for the Hawks here in the bottom of the fourth. The 0-2 pitch. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Down in 3 pitches goes DeLeo looking for the 6th strikeout of the ball game for David Fluid.
Cole McCracken.
And that'll bring up McCracken. He's one of the 6 strikeout victims. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Steps in here 0 for 1 in the ball game from the left side. 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. The first pitch. Ground ball hit between first and second. Leininger fields it on a backhand. Fluid covering, but he can't make the catch. It's out of his glove. So they'll give that error to Fluid. He had McCracken beat, but unable to complete the catch and step on the bag. So a good toss there. Good play by both Leininger and Fluid covering. And that does tell us that Fluid is feeling better from the tweak he had a couple of weeks ago. But the error there. So we'll put an E1 on the board. That lets Cole McCracken reach first with 2 outs. In steps Rhett Peterson, the second baseman. With 2 outs and a runner at first. The first pitch from Fluid. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Just 2 hits on the ball game for the Hawks. They had 1 in the first, 1 in the third. The 0-1 pitch from Fluid. Swing and a miss, strike 2. 0-2 the count now to the second baseman, Rhett Peterson. With the catcher, Borger, on deck. Should Peterson extend this bottom of the fourth inning for the Hawks? McCracken leads off first. Leininger holds him on. Fluid's 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night for the second time of the inning. Nope. There's 2 outs. It's on the ground, and so it's going to be a strikeout. But the inning will not come to an end because with 2 outs. And the umpire called the out, and so the players from Georgetown reacted to the umpires. And so he can't change that after he already signaled it and the team took off the field. Coach Vieira is going to come out and talk to him. So Coach Vieira arguing that Herrera caught the ball. The home plate umpire signaling that it hit the ground. Nonetheless, it will be the third strikeout of the inning for the Eagles as Peterson swung and missed, but the drop third strike, if they call that, with 2 outs, they have to make the throw down to first base even though it's occupied. And that didn't happen, but what is the confusion here? Now the home plate umpire talking to Coach Vieira on the third base line. Coach Neely listening in from the Hawks. So we'll see what's going on here between the fiasco here. And so they're going to put the runners at first and second. They killed it, so the runners couldn't advance any further, but Coach Neely was telling them to keep running as Georgetown had left the field. So now with 3 strikeouts in the innings, there's 2 outs and runners at first and second, and in steps Borger, who's 0 for 1 in the ball game. He grounded out to second back in the second inning. Runners at first and second for the Hawks. Fluid comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Borger, outside corner, just misses for ball 1. So now you got to hope the Eagles will go back and go right after the hitter, get the third out, and get out of the inning. Fluid comes set. A look back at second, the 1-0 pitch, outside corner, just misses for ball 2. 2-0 the count now to Braden Borger, the catcher, the number 9 hitter. With the center fielder, James Lee, on deck for the Hawks. Should Borger extend the inning. 2-0 the count with 2 outs and runners at first and second. Fluid comes set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch. Ground ball hit to third. Holly will field it on a short hop. He'll have to throw across the diamond. Scoop. Leininger pulls him off the bag, and he's safe. The throw over to third. Holly keeps it in front of him. So now bases loaded on the error. Throwing error by Holly pulled Leininger off the base, and now the base is loaded for the Hawks.
Number 6, James Lee.
So the Eagles have got to settle back in here. 2 errors on the inning for the Eagles. Have the bases loaded with 2 outs. James Lee will step in. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game. The first pitch from Fluid. Swinging, foul ball, back out of play down the first baseline. 0-1 the count to the center fielder Lee. Struck out swinging in the first. Singled and left stranded in the third. Bases loaded for the Hawks with 2 outs. The 0-1 pitch from Fluid to Lee. Breaking pitch down to the turf. Nice block by Herrera. 1-1 the count to the center fielder James Lee. Jake McGuire, the third baseman, on deck for the Hawks. Should Lee extend this inning. Fluid back in the windup from the third base side of the rubber. From the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Breaking pitch, ground ball, hit out to third. Holly will just step on the bag at third base and get the final out of the inning. 5 unassisted to cut down the runner Peterson at third base for out number 3, and the Eagles get out of it with no damage done here in the bottom of the 4th. No runs on no hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on base. 2 runners left on base. After 4 complete, Georgetown 10, Hendrickson 1. Eagle baseball continues in a moment.
Jenny Mahan, Coldwell Banker Realty, proud sponsor of First Responder Broadcasting and Georgetown Eagle Baseball. A licensed real estate agent since 2016, Jenny is a family-first person that gives all she has to her family. Jenny takes the same love of family and delivers that to her clients from the start. Jenny is happy to help anyone looking to buy or sell a house, farm, or ranch. Let Jenny help you. Contact Jenny at 817-404-9203 or email jenny.mahan@cbunited.com. That's jenny.mahan@cbunited.com.
And we go to the top of the fifth. The Eagles bring up the 1, 2, and 3 hitters. Peterson, Ball, and Leininger leading by 9. 10-1. Yanez on in relief. Came on in the top of the fifth with 2 outs and got the final out of the inning. So he's thrown 1/3 of an inning in relief. The 1-0 pitch to Peterson. Peterson takes it low for ball 2. 2-0 the count now to Devin Peterson. He's 1 for 3 in the ball game. From the windup, Yanez's 2-0 pitch. Peterson, fly ball right side of the infield into shallow right field. The right fielder, McCracken, comes on and makes the catch. For out number 1, F9 in the book to retire Peterson. That'll bring up Talon Ball. Talon 1 for 3 in the ball game. Singled and scored a run in the first. Flew out to center in the second. Reached on an error and scored a run in the fourth. Steps in here with the bases empty and 1 out, leading by 9. Yanez from the windup. The first pitch to Talon. Break and pitch in there for a called strike. 0-1 to count. To the junior second baseman, Talon Ball. The 0-1 pitch to Talon. Line drive, base hit into left field, right past the third baseman, McGuire. And a 1-out single as Talon at first base. First hit allowed by Yanez, 9th of the ball game for Eagle hitters. And that'll bring in Riley Leininger. Leininger steps in, 1 for 3 in the ball game. Popped out to second in the first, tripled and scored a run in the third. Popped out to short in the 4th inning. Steps in here with 1 out, a runner at first base. Talon down at first base, held on by Fierro. Yanez now in the stretch. First pitch to Leininger. Break and pitch stays high through the zone for ball 1. 1-0 to count. Reese Herrera, the catcher, on deck for Georgetown. 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Caldwell Banker Realty, Jenny Mahan brings you 5th inning action of Georgetown baseball. 1-0 pitch to Leininger. Breaking pitch in there for a called strike. 1-1 the count now. One pitch from Yanez. He'll step off and reset now in the stretch. Works from the first base side of the rubber. He looks in and gets a sign from Borger. A look at first. Now he comes set in the stretch. Throw over to first base. Ball dives back in safely there. Now Yanez will come set in the stretch again. Talon, a big lead at first. Another throw over to first base. Ball dives back in safely. 1-1 count to Leininger with 1 out here in the top of the 5th. A 10-1 lead for your Eagles. 2 in the first, 1 in the third, 7 in the 4th. On 5 Hawk errors. Just 3 hits in the inning for the Eagles as they put up the 7 runs. Left 1 on base. Through 3 2/3 innings pitching for Camden Mallett. He allowed 10 runs on 8 hits, struck out 2, walked 2, 1 wild pitch. Yanez came in for the last out in the top of the 4th. Got Jack Kiki to fly out to right field. And now he works in his full first inning of relief work here in the top of the 5th inning. A 1-0 count to Leininger with 1-1 count to Leininger with 1 out. Talon Ball at first base, a big lead for Ball. Fierro holds him on now. Yanez will step off. And Talon does this to people. He loves to run. On this season, Talon Ball has a lot of stolen bases for your Eagles. I'll pull it up here in just a second when I get the right chart pulled up. Talon leads off. Fierro holds him on. Yanez comes set. The 1-1 pitch. Leininger lays off and takes it high for ball 2. Oh, he did call it a strike. Strike 2 to Leininger. 1-2 the count. On the season, Talon Ball came into the ball game with just 10 stolen bases. 5 of them last week against Elgin, or against Pflugerville the week before. Had a good week, loves to run, and now leads off, draws the attention of Yanez. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Leininger. Yanez now comes set in the stretch. The 1-2 pitch, ball off and running. The pitch outside, the throw down from Borger is not going to be in time to throw into center field, and Talon Ball off and running again, and he'll stand into third base. 2-2 count to Leininger with 1 out, a runner at third now. So give Ball the Stolen base at second. 5th of the night for Eagle base runners. And he advances on an error to third base as that throw got past the shortstop. Haslam into center field. Allowed. Don't give it to the catcher, Borger. Now Yanez comes set. The 2-2 pitch to Leininger. Leininger lays off, takes it for ball 3. Full count now to Leininger with 1 out. Should be a full count. There it is on the board. Full count to Leininger. Talon Ball leads off third. Reese Herrera waits on deck. Yanez comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch. Leininger gives it a ride down the first baseline, but it's going to push foul. If it were fair, it were gone. But that bat stays alive for Riley. Someone yelled, don't throw that one again. Riley pulled it foul down that right field line. And now we reset. 3 balls, 2 strikes, so 1 out. Talon Ball down at third. Yanez comes set in the stretch. The payoff pitch. Inside, ball 4. So a 1-out walk has base runners at the corners for Georgetown. First walk issued by Yanez in relief. And now here comes Reese Herrera, Mr. RBI tonight. He's got 3 RBIs, 0 for 2 in the ball game with a sac fly. Steps in here with runners at first and second. And that'll move Jackson Rainey into the on-deck circle with 3 base hits on the night, waiting his turn here in the top of the 5th inning. Now the catcher Borger will step out and give the infield signal with runners on the corners and just 1 out for the Eagles here in the top of the 5th inning. Yanez a long look in, gets a sign from Borger. Will come set in the stretch. Leininger being held on at first by Fierro. The first pitch to Herrera. He takes it high for ball 1. 1-0 count to Herrera. He grounded out to short in the first, grounded out to second and a third, both scoring the runners from third base. Then had a sac fly in the 4th to score the runner from third, Talon Ball. 3 RBIs in the ball game for Herrera as he sits 0 for 2 and now at plate with a 1-0 count and runners at the corners. The 1-0 pitch down in the turf. That's going to allow Leininger to advance to second, and now 2 runners in scoring position and a 2-0 count to Herrera. So Reese advances on that one. Give it a wild pitch there as it was down in the turf. Borger did a great job just to keep it from the backstop, but it got away from him back out in front of the plate, and Leininger heads up, running, gets to second. The 2-0 pitch to Herrera. Fly ball down the right field line. Herrera hits it. If it stays fair, it is. It is fair. Right fielder can't get to it. Both runs score. Herrera is going to stand up with a 2 RBI triple, and the Eagles lead it 12-1. What a job by your catcher, Reese Herrera. Take a bow, young man. 5 RBIs on the night for your senior catcher, Reese Herrera. He put it right down the right field line, and a great effort by the right fielder, McCracken, but unable to get to it. It lands fair and goes past him all the way to the fence, and Herrera, the stand-up 2 RBI triple. And in steps Jackson Rainey. Cord Lawrence on at third base to run for the catcher, Herrera. 12-1. Georgetown leads it by 11. Rainey steps in, 3 for 3 in the ball game. 3 singles and a run scored. First pitch, up and in. Chin music from Yanez. Rainey turns the head, takes the ball, and steps back in. The 1-0 pitch misses for ball 2. 2-0 now the count. Jackson Rainey. 1 out, a runner at third. For the Eagles, Luke Holly, the third baseman, on deck. For Georgetown here in the top of the 5th. Yanez's 2-0 pitch stays high, ball 3. 3-0 count to Jackson Rainey with 1 out, a runner at third. Reese Herrera, 1 for 3 in the ballgame with 5 RBIs on that 2 RBI triple. Yanez comes set in the stretch. The 3-0 pitch to Rainey. In there for a called strike, 3-1 as Rainey was taken all the way. Holly waits on deck, 1 for 2 on the ballgame. Walked in the first, reached on an error in the third, singled and scored a run in the 4th for the Eagles. Yanez comes set, the 3-1 pitch. Rainey takes it outside, ball 4. Another walk for Yanez on the inning. Now runners on the corners for the Eagles. As Luke Holly will step in, but a visit from Coach DJ Neely for the Hawks. We'll take it with them. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. So we go back to action here now. The pitch for the Hendrickson Hawks will be number 13. That is Andrew Douglas. Douglas, the junior right-hander, comes on to relieve with the runners at first and second with 1 out. Here in the top of the 5th, Luke Holly steps in, 1 for 2 in the ball game. Throw the yo-yo. That'll get the runner Rainey in the rundown. The ball dropped by Fierro. He'll throw to second, but it gets knocked away, and that'll let Rainey get in safe there as it went off the second baseman, Peterson, and then Haslam. So Rainey escapes the pickle there on the pickoff attempt. So now 2 runners in scoring position. Reese Herrera.
Holy cow!
Reese Herrera down at third base, represented by Cord Lawrence, courtesy running after his 2 RBI triple. And now Jackson Rainey moves up to second base. Give that error on the first baseman there as he dropped the initial play that allowed Rainey to get to the second base bag. And now the first pitch from Douglas to Luke Holly. Outside for ball 1. Luke walked and left stranded in the first inning, reached on an error in the third, singled and scored a run in the 4th inning as he steps in here in the 5th with 1 out and runners on second and third. 2 runs across in the inning, a 12-run lead for your Eagles. Holly back in for the right side. Douglas comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch to Luke. Luke takes it inside for ball 2. 2-0 count with Colton Crutchfield, the left fielder, on deck for your Eagles. Third pitcher of the ball game for the Hawks now, Andrew Douglas, the righty. The defense stays the same for the Hawks. The 2-0 pitch to Holly. Swing and a miss, strike one, 2-1 the count. Holly back in for the right side. Douglas now will come set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball misses low for ball three. 3-1 now the count to Holly. Douglas comes set in the stretch. The 3-1 pitch to Holly. Stays high, ball four, bases loaded, full of Eagles here with one out in the top of the inning. First walk allowed by Douglas in relief. So just 2/3 of an inning pitched by Giannis as he comes out with one out in the top of the fifth and 2 runners on. He's responsible for both runners at second and third, Rainey and Cord Lawrence. And now up to bat, the pinch hitter, number 3, Riley Hill. Bats for Crutchfield here in the top of the fifth. First pitch from Douglas to Riley Hill. Stays high, ball one. Cord Lawrence at second, Jackson Rainey Cord Lawrence at third, Jackson Rainey at second, Luke Holly at first. The 1-0 pitch to Riley Hill. That's in there for a called strike. 1-1 the count to the pinch hitter, Riley Hill. Riley, the 5'7", 160-pound senior, bats right, throws right, steps in here in his pinch hit role for the Eagles for Colton Crutchfield. A 1-1 pitch from Douglas. Hill takes it low and outside, ball 2, 2-1 the count to the senior, Riley Hill. Douglas gets the sign, comes set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch. Foul back to the screen, 2-2, now the count to the pinch hitter, Riley Hill. Cord Lawrence leads off third. Jackson Rainey off second. Luke Holly off first base. As Douglas comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch to Riley Hill. That breaking pitch inside corner. What a call there to get that. And Riley Hill strikes out looking for out number 2. And that'll bring up the DH, number 7, Hayden Grooms. So 2 outs in the inning. First strikeout thrown by Andrew Douglas in his relief appearance here in the top of the fifth. Grooms will step in with 2 outs and the bases loaded. He's 1 for 2 in the ballgame. Struck out in the second. Walked and scored a run in his first plate appearance in the fourth, and then singled and left stranded in his second plate appearance in the fourth. Takes the first pitch up and away for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Hayden, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, and the 8th hitter to appear to the plate here for the Eagles in the top of the fifth. The 1-0 pitch from Douglas. Down low for ball 2. 2-0 the count. Cord Lawrence down at third base running for Herrera after his 2 RBI triple. Jackson Rainey at second. Luke Holly leads off first. 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. 2 runs across, a 12-1 lead for your Eagles. Andrew Douglas gets the sign from Borger, comes set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch. That one stays high, ball 3. On deck is your shortstop, Jack Kiki. Groom steps back in with a 3-0 count and 2 outs and the base is full. Douglas comes set, Groom's ready to go. The 3-0 pitch. In there for a called strike. Groom's taking all the way, 3-1 now the count. Douglas gets the sign from Borger. The 3-1 pitch. Inside and high for ball 4. An RBI for Hayden Grooms, his second of the ball game. That'll score Cord Lawrence from third base on the base on balls. The bases remain loaded. The lead 13-1. That run charged to Giannis. He's also responsible for Rainey down at third. Bases remain loaded as Kiki steps in. He's 1 for 3 on the night. First pitch to Kiki, low and outside, ball 1. Rainey now at third. Luke Holly at second. Hayden Grooms down at first. 1-0 pitch to Jack Kiki. Fouled off, back to the screen. 1-1 the count now. The sophomore shortstop, Jack Kiki. Thursday night, the Ski Creek Outfitters come join us 7 o'clock. The Eagle Baseball Coaches Show. Have the freshman and JV players of the week. A couple of varsity players. And we'll talk with Coach Vieira. The 1-1 pitch. Stays up and in. It gets over the catcher, and it's back out of play. It went through a hole in the net. So that should score, yeah. Easily scores Rainey, as that one, he was headed home anyway. But they're going to stop the other runners at second and third. So that runner goes to Giannis on the wild pitch by Douglas. And now a 14-1 lead for Georgetown. Rainey scores on that wild pitch. Luke Holly moves up to third on that same wild pitch, and Hayden Grooms down to second. And the count now 2-1 to Jack Kiki. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Douglas comes set. The 2-1 pitch. Kiki fouls it off. 2-2 now the count to the shortstop. As it stands, if the Eagles can hold the Hawks in the bottom of the 5th, it'll be a run rule. So the Hendrickson Hawks will be down to their final 3 outs in the bottom of the 5th after Georgetown gets retired here in the top of the 5th. Kiki back in for the right side. Douglas comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch. Breaking pitch, fouled off. Kiki stays alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kiki fights here in the top of the 5th. Singled and left stranded in the 2nd. Reached on an error and scored a run in the 4th in his first plate appearance. Flew out to right field in the 2nd plate appearance of the 4th inning. 1 for 3 in the ball game. 2-2 count with 2 outs and runners on second and third. The 2-2 pitch from Douglas. Kiki, fly ball down the first baseline, curls out of play, and he stays alive. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Douglas now comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch to Jack Kiki. Breaking pitch, misses outside, ball 3. Count goes full, 3 balls and 2 strikes now. To the number 9 hitter, Jack Kiki, your shortstop, Devin Peterson, waits on deck. Should Kiki extend this inning? Holly off third base, Grooms off second. Douglas comes set, the payoff pitch. Up and away, ball 4, bases loaded for the Eagles here with 2 outs. Second walk by Douglas in relief. Has loaded him up, and now we go to the top of the lineup. Peterson will be back up for his 2nd plate appearance of the inning. And we'll take a quick timeout as Coach Neely comes out to talk to his pitching staff. Eagle baseball continues in a minute. back here in the top of the fifth, the Hawks go to the bullpen again, and they will bring in a new pitcher, the right-hander, number 21. That is Andrew Cordova, the senior right-hander. He'll come on in relief with 2 outs and the bases loaded. For the Hawks tonight pitching, Camden Mallett, the starter, went 3 2/3 innings through 78 pitches, allowed 10 runs, 8 hits, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and 1 wild pitch. Leo Yanez came on in relief there in the top of the fourth and ended up only throwing 2/3 of an inning tonight, 21 pitches, giving up 4 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, a wild pitch. Andrew Douglas threw just a third of an inning, 23 pitches, struck out 1, walked 2, 1 wild pitch, and he's responsible for all 3 batters on the base path for the Eagles as he walked all 3 of them. Sorry, didn't give that last one his 3rd walk. And now Cordova will work from the stretch against Devin Peterson. First pitch, swing and a miss by Peterson, 0-1 to count. Peterson's second plate appearance of the inning. He is 1 for 4 in the ball game, has scored 2 runs. Steps in here with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Cordova works from the stretch. First base side of the rubber. Long look in and gets a sign from Borger and comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch to Peterson. Low and inside, ball 1. Good block by Borger. 14-1, Georgetown leads it. 2 runs in the first, 1 in the third, 7 in the fourth, 4 across here in the top of the fifth. 1 in the bottom of the first for the Hawks. Peterson back in from the right side. 1-1 pitch from Cordova. Low, bounces away from Borger and off and running. Great read by Holly, and he cruises in for the 15th run of the ball game. Charged that one to Andrew Douglas. 2-1 now the count. And both runners move up on that wild pitch by by Cordova. His first wild pitch. So Holly scores from third base. Second run scored of the ball game for Holly. Grooms up to third. Kiki up to second. Cordova comes set. The 2-1 pitch to Peterson. Breaking pitch gets in there for the called strike on the inside corner. Nice pitch from Cordova. Now the count goes even. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Peterson with 2 outs here in the top of the fifth. 15-1, Georgetown leads it over the Hawks. Cordova comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch fouled off. Peterson stays alive in the at-bat. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Two count to Devin Peterson with 2 outs. Runners on second and third here in the top of the fifth for Georgetown. 5 runs across now in the inning. Cordova comes set in the stretch. The 2-2 pitch down low in the turf. Good block by Borger, and the count goes full to Devin Peterson. 3 balls and 2 strikes. On deck, Cord Lawrence. Set to pinch hit for Talon Ball. Should Peterson extend the inning here in the top of the fifth? Cordova comes set. The payoff pitch to Peterson. Ground ball hit out towards short. It's fielded by the shortstop Haslam. His throw across the diamond in time. Bang, bang play to get Peterson for out number 3. But the Eagles put up 5 more runs in the inning and lead it 15-1 over the Hawks. Quick timeout. We'll be back for the bottom of the fifth. Eagle baseball continues in a minute.
Jenny Mahan, Coldwell Banker Realty, proud sponsor of First Responder Broadcasting and Georgetown Eagle Baseball. A licensed real estate agent since 2016, Jenny is a family-first person that gives all she has to her family. Jenny takes the same love of family and delivers that to her clients from the start. Jenny is happy to help anyone looking to buy or sell a house, farm, or ranch. Let Jenny help you. Contact Jenny at 817-404-9203 or email jenny.mahan@cbunited.com. That's JENNY.MAHAN@cbunited.com.
And we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. David Fluid on for his 5th inning of work here in the ball game. He'll face off against the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, McGuire, Haslam, and Mallett. We'll see who bats in Mallett's spot. The first pitch from Fluid to McGuire. Ground ball hit out towards short. Kiki charges, fields it, bobbles it. The throw on the run in time. What a play by Jack Kiki to stay with that one. 6-3 on the putout for out number 1. So 1 pitch, 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th, and the Hawks 2 outs away from being run ruled here
Hawks number 12,
in the
Haslam.
5-run run rule, 15-1. In steps the shortstop, Kevin Haslam. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game, a double and left stranded in the first, struck out in the third. Steps in here with 1 out, and the base is empty. First pitch swinging, misses it for called strike or for strike 1. 0-1 the count to Haslam. The pitcher, Andrew Cordova, on deck. The 0-1 pitch to Haslam, misses for ball 1, 1-1 the count. Thursday night, the coaches show. Friday night, back at Eagle Field. The Eagles will take on the Hawks in game 2 of the series. The 1-1 pitch from Fluid. Swing and a miss, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Haslam now with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Fluid ready to go. The 1-2 pitch. Fly ball back out of play. Count remains 1-2 to Kevin Haslam, the shortstop. Through 4 innings, Fluid had only thrown 65 pitches, struck out 7, allowed 2 hits. Hasn't walked anybody, hit 1 batter, 1 wild pitch, and 1 run allowed. Gets a sign from Herrera, the 1-2 pitch to Haslam. Swing and a miss, strike 3, the 8th strikeout of the ball game for Fluid. And the Hawks down to their last out here in the bottom of the 5th, trailing by 14 as Andrew Cordova will step in
Andrew Cordova
for the Hawks to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning in the number 4 slot. Cordova steps in from the right side. First pitch from Fluid, inside corner, called strike 1. 0-1 the count. Georgetown with the win will go to 12-9-1 on the year, but 7-0 in district. The 0-1 pitch. Ground ball hit out to short. Kiki will field it. He'll throw to first in time, and the ball game is over. 6-3 on the putout as the Hawks go in order here in the bottom of the 5th. Fluid pitches the complete game for the Eagles in 5 innings, only allowing 2 hits and 1 run in the ball game, striking out 8. What a performance in Fluid. After coming back, he took a week off with the injury, and he gets back in the win column for your Georgetown Eagles as they improve to 7-0 on the season. We'll take a quick timeout, come back, wrap it up. Eagle baseball continues in a moment. Your Eagles win it 15-1 over the Hendrickson Hawks to go to 7-0 on the season, and they are the sole leaders in District 23 in the standings as they move to 7-0. The Hawks fall to 6-1 to remain in second place now in District 23. The separation is still there for those 2 teams as the next 3 teams are all tied at 3-3 on the season. But now the Hawks and the Eagles will face off on Friday night back at Georgetown at Eagle Field at 7 p.m. for Game 2 of the series. Come join us live there in the stands to watch your Eagles try to, stay undefeated in district play. Tonight they are victorious in 5 innings, 15-1 over the Hendrickson Hawks on a 5-inning complete game by David Fluid. He threw 73 pitches in the ballgame, striking out 8, allowing just 2 hits, no walks, 1 run across, 1 wild pitch, and 1 batter hit by a pitch. The batting side of it, you got to look at Reese Herrera and what a job he does as he goes 1 for 3 in the ball game, but with 5 RBIs, a triple, a run scored, a sac fly as well. And so a great night for Reese Herrera at the plate. Luke Colley has a good night at the plate. He has a single, walks twice. He's 1 for 2 in the ball game. Stole a base, scored 2 runs, does a good job there. Another bunt single, and laid down a perfect bunt there by Luke Colley. But up and down the scorebook, good things for this Eagle team. 2 for 4 was Talon Ball. Riley Leininger 1 for 3 with a walk, a triple, and 2 runs scored. Devin Peterson 1 for 5, a double, 2 runs scored. You just go up and down at Jackson Rainey. 3 for 3 on the night, 3 singles with a walk, 2 runs scored, and what a job by Jackson Rainey as well. Your Eagles victorious 15-1 over the Hendrickson Hawks. We'll call it a night here as it's cooled off. I'm ready to get in the car, but we will see you Thursday night live from Mesquite Creek Outfitters. Join us at 7 p.m., the Eagle Baseball Coaches Show. We'll have the Freshman Player of the Week, the JV Player of the Week, and a couple of your varsity players, and talk all things Eagle Baseball live from Mesquite Creek Outfitters. And then Friday night, back in the booth at Eagle Field. Come join us, 7 o'clock first pitch. We'll be live at 6:45 with the pregame. You're listening to Eagle Baseball, brought to you by First Responder Broadcasting. A special thanks to our sponsors, the Georgetown Eagle Baseball Booster Club, Carissa Bradford, your Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, Jenny Mahan at Caldwell Banker Realty, and Jesse Mahan with the Mahan Home and Commercial Services, and, of course, Matt Morrow and Borrow from Morrow. Thanks for everyone that makes it possible to bring you Georgetown Eagle Baseball live here on the SHN Sports Network. From my wife, Jerry Ann Harmon, I'm Wally Harmon. Thanks for joining us. The Eagles win it 15-1. Have a good night. Remember, it doesn't cost you a dime to be kind. Have a good night, everybody.